Hi, my name is Judy and I'm the City Stitcher, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Sunday, November the 1st. It's the day after Halloween. Halloween was on a Saturday, time change, full moon, had all the lovely things. So I hope everybody had an enjoyable but safe Halloween. This is a channel about cross stitch. So if this is your first time stopping by, thank you for taking some time out and spending it with me. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. Just going to preface it as always saying feel free to ask any questions or comments. Always happy to receive those in the comment section down below. With that, let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with a previous finish, which I know is hard to believe that I've got those, but and you're going to laugh when you see it. So here is my previous finish. And I know there's going to be a bunch of you who are saying, excuse me, you already showed that. We've already seen that previous finish. And the answer is, I don't think so, because I think this is the one you saw. Okay, and the real answer is, even I don't actually know which one I showed the first one. But so when I ordered my kit from Stitchy Box, they said there was enough fabric to do two, and there is, assuming, well, there might even be enough to frame, but my whole intention was probably to do something other than framing. So I have now fully utilized all of my kit. There still is some leftover silk and the Classic Color Works. So the threads that I've used, I still have leftovers from that. But I have used up all of the fabric, and this is a linen by Fabrics by Stephanie, Dusty Purple, which I don't remember the count. 32, 28, something like that. Looking at it going, yeah, probably one of those, not 36. So, but I have both of them, and yes, for my friend who also watches and is a stitcher who keeps going, we really do need to talk about finishing. Yeah, we really do, because there's two of them to finish. 2021, it's coming. Anyway, so that's my previous finish. What have I been stitching on this week? I know, it's the Saga of Marbeck. I feel like it's Gilligan's Island. I should come up with like new theme words to that thing, but anyway. Here's Marbeck. Sadly, as you can tell from what I'm showing you, I'm still working on the bottom half. I haven't even finished the bottom half, let alone moved up. Because don't forget, I have 1.3 angels to finish. So in terms of my October goal, successful failure. Totally missed the mark, not even close. Like, I might have been okay if I at least finished all of the bottom. I have not finished all of the bottom. It's not even close. Reasons for that, it was a long and very busy week on a variety of fronts. It impacts stitching. 61 days left in 2021. All right, I really do need to buckle down here one of these days and get this finished, really. Because don't forget, after the center panel, I still have the camel left to do. Camel. Anyway, so what did I accomplish this week? Well, not as much as I should have, but so I did manage to get all of the Kreinik gold along the outer edge of this. Now, again, I'm trying to do the whole thing. You never get the sparkle. I will say it does look lovely in real life. It looks really... It does look lovely and shiny and all that good stuff, which is why people use metallics. So I finished it all along the bottom here. I've done a little bit here, so there's still more left to go in here, and there's a little bit up here. So not quite done with the gold there yet. And not only that, there are 3 more colors left to put in here. So there's still a lot of Kreinik left to go to finish off this lovely Wiseman. And then move on to the box. And then the stairs, which I'm hoping go really fast. But how many times have I said that before? And a sheep. Finish the Wiseman. Stairs. sheep, gold box, no, finish the wise men, gold box, stairs, sheep, and then I get to scroll all the way back up to work on my angels. Ugh. Anyway, progress is progress. This is more stitches than there were before. But I've also had the experience this week where I get to go. I've finished an entire spool of Kreinik. So this is Kreinik Blending Filament 002 HL, so the high luster one, so the really sparkly one. I've used up my first spool. And had to start my second one. I'm on spool number 2. There's a little bit of Kreinik going on in this thing. All right. So that's what I've stitched this week. What are my plans for stitching in the coming week? Oh wait, Marbeck. Still more Marbeck. It's lovely. Marbeck till the end of the year. Yeah, okay. Hopefully, please, 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 let's have this be done by the end of the year. Anyway, and that's it. That's my big stitching update. It's been, what, 6.5 minutes? Congratulations. I'm all through my technical, actual, honest to good things I've previously stitched and things that I stitched on this week. I know, it's a little sad. So let's do free charts. Sorry, I just have some things over here that I'm trying to keep organized for the topic of conversation this week. So I only have a couple of free charts for you this week. Was looking at a few other ones, but I thought I would knock this one off. Wichelt, which is one of the distributors of cross-stitch supplies, actually has a few free charts on their website. So always interesting when you can find that. Now, there's only 4 there right now. So I wouldn't say there's a plethora like some of the other ones that I've previously shown. But I thought I would knock these ones off. So the ones that I have saved down, because you know my answer is when you see a free chart, save it if it's even remotely appealing. So this one is called Winter Snowflake by X's and O's. A snowflake is winter's butterfly. I can see this being done on a navy fabric. And then I think it's Weeks Dye Works has white, the same one that I used for that Glendon Place Snowflake, Ode to Snowflakes from Glendon Place, that one. I think that would, on navy, that would look quite nice. So that's one, and then the other one is called Iris by Always Time to Stitch. So a band sampler. And again, so you have your choice of you could make these any kind of colors. Now they did have this specialty button, which I think is still available. And if not, you can just always, continue with these, just continue off and fill it in with 2 more of these. Yeah. So those are my free charts for this week. Which means, I know, congratulations, it's 9 minutes, and we're at the topic. Actually, that's not quite true. Before we get into the official topic of Anchor Floss, just want to say a quick note. So over this last week, a couple of things have happened in the stitching world. Number 1, the Nashville market, which would normally take place in early March, has been delayed. Not surprising. Still lots of uncertainty around COVID and what's happening, and so the Nashville market is a big market where designers come as well as a ton of stores come, and so it would require a lot of people to travel and commitments from designers to coming and all that kind of stuff. And I think at this point, so being someone from Canada, technically right now the border between Canada and the US is closed. So Canadian designers, so Jeanette Douglas per se, who always has lovely things to release at Nashville, who would normally go to Nashville, would normally have a room, all the things. Technically right now, the border's closed and she couldn't go. And I feel like, you know, every few weeks as we get closer that, you know, the border closing sort of gets extended by another month and then extended by another month. So they have delayed it until May. Now, is it still a for sure go ahead in May? I don't know that. I do think delaying it was the right call, just because there's a lot of uncertainty and, you know, a lot of people would be concerned about potentially having to get in on planes and traveling and all sorts of things that go along with that. And you know, my line is safety first. Let's all be safe and healthy. So support that decision. It's also, and of course it's about me, it's also very beneficial for me in my year of 2021 with very restrained stitching from stashing and all that. Stitching from stash, not stitching and stashing, which sounds actually more like me. Stitching from stash, it helps me if they delay that until May, because that gives me 2 more months of not being tempted by new things, right? Helpful. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that they moved it to help all of us who are trying to make 2021 a stitch from stash, or all of those people who are in the no new starts 2021. I think now it doesn't prevent them from shopping for those people who are no new starts. They just can't start anything new. But I still think it's always helpful not to sort of go, oh my goodness, there's a new pattern release that I absolutely love and I can't start it. Of course, for me, it's the trying to stitch from stash, and hopefully if I get my Marbeck done, a lot of new starts. Won't that be fun? Okay. Must get the Marbeck done. All right. The second thing from a stitching community perspective, so there's been a lot of discussion in Instagram and on Facebook. I don't know about the Twitterverse because I'm not on Twitter. With increased restrictions being put in place in both France and Germany, that there's been a lot of concern that DMC is, you know, going to get shut in and won't be able to produce, and Zweigart, so Zweigart fabrics will be harder. So a lot of concern about that. There have been several people who are so Color and Cotton for sure, and I think there are a few other store owners have officially gotten on to, you know, some of those social media pages and said, look, we have checked with our, like, I think Color and Cotton specifically said, I have gone and spoken directly to my direct contact at DMC, and they are not shut down. So that's good. That's good. And let's just talk about even if they are shut down. So if they are shut down, you know, again, DMC would be harder, you know, your stores, which have some right now, it would be harder to get them replenished. But let's all face facts, like myself. I'm fairly confident that most of us have, you may not have the biggest stashes, and there are always people who have bigger stashes than others, but we all probably have enough sitting at home in our stash that even if Zweigart and DMC were shut down for a while, and again, none of these places, like even California, they weren't shut down for forever. They were shut down for quite some time, but not for forever, that we would have enough to get through. And we probably all have stitchy friends where if we said, oh my goodness, let's say you ran out. I'm sure everybody has a stitchy friend where they could say, oh my goodness, I am desperate. I have nothing in the house to stitch on. That you probably have a stitchy friend who would say, look, we can come up with something for you to do. Anyway, so no need to panic, no need to overwhelm shops with like trying to buy all of the fabric and all of the DMC that you may need for the next 10 years. because based on everything that I've seen and what the shop owners and, you know, again, Color Cotton, who actually dyes both fabric and floss, their information is that neither DMC nor Zweigart are shut down. And I think they were all kind of like, everybody just take a breath. It'll be fine. And it will be fine. Okay, so that's the stitching community news for this week. Now let's talk about the topic. I know you didn't see it coming. Let's talk anchor floss. And I will confess, I didn't actually see this topic coming either until I was working on something this week. So I will say, as part of my, again, I've had some relatives who have been cleaning things out in an unexpected death, and so I have come into some stitching stash, some of which included anchor floss. And to be perfectly honest, it's not like I was going to get rid of the anchor floss, but in my head I also went, wonder what I'm going to do with this anchor floss, because I don't generally use anchor floss. So, and it's not that there's anything wrong with anchor floss. It's just that most charts are charted for DMC. Now, online, you can always find DMC to anchor conversions, and I will put a link to one in the notes below. So you can always convert, like if you came across something that had anchor, you can convert it to DMC, and a lot of the patterns which are charted for anchor do actually have DMC conversions in it, which is what the one that I was looking at this week had, which started me down this little road. So a couple of things about anchor. One of the things that pops up in the Facebook groups as well, is that there are people who say that, so certainly on DMC 310, DMC black tends to not give the best coverage compared to other DMC colors. And I do find that with the darker the color of DMC, so whether it's DMC 310, which is black, DMC 939, which is a really dark navy blue, DMC 3371, which is a really dark brown. The darker colors, the closer you get to black, they don't cover as well as the lighter colors. Now, I know nothing about the dyeing process. I don't know why that would be. I'm sure that there's somebody out there who knows why that is, but that person is not me. So I just know that that's how it does. And so I do find, I agree that DMC black doesn't give the best coverage. I also, you know, so some of the answers are, well, just move it up. And so instead of using 2 strands, use 3, but I don't like working with 3. So I usually go, I'm just going to use the 2 and go, ugh, not the best coverage, and keep going. But there has been talk in the Facebook groups that anchor black gives better coverage than DMC. So I have previously, so probably a couple of years ago, bought some anchor black specifically for some patterns that have quite a bit of black in them, and I've stored them with those charts. Have I started those charts? Of course I haven't started those charts. So I can't speak from personal experience as to whether or not the black actually does give better coverage. But I have bought some, and one of these years I will test it out. And I'll let you know what I think when we come to that point, and you'll know when we come to that point. The other interesting thing about anchor is that even when I started stitching, my family of stitchers, we generally tended to use anchor white as opposed to DMC white for a very specific reason, in that anchor, certainly from the time I started stitching, has always had 2 whites. They had anchor 1, they had anchor number 2. The difference being that one of them was a brighter white. And so DMC, you know, over the years has come up, and they have their bright white, which is DMC B 5200, 2500, 5200, anyway. They do have a second white. They also have 3865, so they now have some options, but certainly when I was starting, my family was like, you always chose, depending on the design, between anchor 1 and anchor 2. So we generally didn't actually ever use DMC white. We always used anchor 1 or 2 and chose depending on the other colors in the palette. So again, it's not that I have never used anchor. I just don't have a lot of experience with anchor. But I was kidding something up this week, and you will recognize it. So this is the Mary Hickmott Sweet Pea Pastels design that I showed you a few weeks ago. Ugh, it looked lovely. Anyway, and this calls for anchor. And so a friend of mine and I were chatting about it because, you know, I was trying to, you know, sort of go, what do I really want to stitch it on? Blah, 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 blah. So big conversation about that. An order has been placed to get me the thing to stitch it on. Anyway, and so while I was doing that, you know, so I always Google your pattern that you're choosing to stitch, because you'll always be surprised at what you find. So Googled my pattern and came across a post that somebody said they had their floss all arrayed and it looked lovely and glorious, and I was like, oh, this is lovely, fantastic. And they had this big long note about this was specifically charted for anchor, and that they strongly encourage anyone who was doing this pattern to stitch it with the anchor floss, because Mary Hickmott, when she designed it, specifically used those colors, because for the colors, the color ranges used in this chart, there was more gradations in the anchor floss line than there were in the DMC line. And so she had very specifically charted it for anchor, and that anchor was a better choice for this design, which I went, that's really interesting. Let's have a look at that. And so I did have a look at it. And then, of course, only then did I start really paying close attention to the colors that were called for. So I'm just gonna haul up. This isn't quite all of them, because I've got some set out here, but look at these colors. Look at those colors. Ugh. Don't those look like sweet pea colors? Oh my goodness, love them. Okay, I'll be fine. Having a little sweet pea moment over here by myself. I think the colors are fantastic. I don't know, yeah. Anyway, lovely, lovely, lovely. But was finally paying attention, as I said, to the chart. So a little bit about anchor. So in terms of solid colors, anchor has, this is what I've pulled off their website, so if they've kept it up to date, not my fault. Anchor has 444 colors. DMC Solids has 489 colors. Sometimes you see that DMC says that they have 500 colors. 500 includes the variegated floss that they still have. There's only a few of them, and they're sort of in that range of numbers between about well, I'm going to say it's between about 75 and 115, I think. It might be 125. Anyway, whatever. So there's that weird set of numbers that come in between, like those, we have the new DMC colors that came out, and I think the first one in the lowest number is about 150 in the other DMC. So that's the difference between the 489 and the 500. Excluding, so DMC also has the Coloris ones, which they've got 24 colors. Anchor also has multicolored threads, which I didn't know about. So I, of course, now that I've been paying attention, I have a list of some variegated anchor threads that I might need to get, you know, cause. So they also have, so Anchor also has 24 multicolors. Then DMC has what they have their color variations, which there's another 60 colors in there according to the DMC website. And Anchor has what they call their ombre colors, which they only have 16. So anyway, 444, 489, blah, blah, blah differences. And so I thought it would be interesting. Now, this is where it's going to get really interesting, because welcome to cameras and screens and I know we tried this with fabric and it didn't work before. We're going to see how it works, because I've hauled out some of the ones the anchor ones and their DMC matches, according to this. Now, again, also when I was paying attention to my chart, remember, read your chart, read your chart, read your chart. Well, now that I was paying attention to my chart, and when I really paid attention, learned several things, like I'm short a few skeins on, anyway, never mind that, read your chart. It was very interesting to note that there were some colors, like, so there's one color where there are 3 anchor colors that in the conversion to DMC, all 3 of those colors only convert to 1 DMC number. I know, came as a big surprise to me too. I could see a few, but I didn't see the 3 coming. So I'm just gonna haul out my 3. And one of them's pretty funny because I go, that's not a really good conversion at all, but never mind that. And this. I know, lots of paperwork going on here. So here are 3 anchor purples. And all 3 of those colors, that is the DMC conversion. So this one I don't think converts well at all. And this is going to be hard to see on camera. So I would say this, so this is DMC 552, and this one I think are closest. And this is Anchor 99. This, of course, while very similar, is a gradation darker than this one, right? So that's an example where in the chart they've got these 3 anchor colors and 1 DMC conversion. Again, I'm going to say I don't think this is a really good conversion. I'm sure, but maybe there really is nothing better, and it's not like I spent any time trying to do that myself. But the interesting thing is, so clearly these colors, so these are the ones that I didn't have in the pile because they were left out for my storytelling. Sorry. Getting them set up again, or I can hold them up without hopefully having everything go flying. So here is a color range, right? So there are the 4 DMCs, so 550, 552, 553, 554, and then here on the other side with 6 colors is the same palette of purples. So again, I can totally see, and again, so we've just gone from a cloudy day to the sun is totally shining through and changing everything, and I think that's actually helpful. So you've got a range of 4 colors versus a palette range of 5. Which, again, I totally see when she was charting this, where she's like, all of those gradations are helpful when you're trying to do this. So I think the shading in this design is just going to be awesome. Anyway, so there are those ones. I'm just going to put these over here. Now, the other interesting thing was the greens. And I think this is, so one I had first started and went, holy smokes, there's actually several colors that all convert to the same DMC. Maybe should have a look at that. But I took the greens and I pulled one of the greens and I went, just for fun, let's pull one of them, because surely the greens, because it's not like they were duplicates, surely the greens are going to be fairly similar. And I went, ooh, I actually really like the anchor ones better. I know. I didn't see this one coming either. So the anchor greens are 264, 265, 266, 267 anchor, which they've got converted to DMC 469, 470, 471. Now again, the sun is totally in my eyes. And I don't know how clear this is going to come across, but these DMCs are have far more yellow in their green than these anchor ones. Now I'm going to intersperse them just to confuse things. Right? So like those two, like this is far more yellow than this one. Now, I don't know if that's going to come through, but it was fascinating. In real life, you can you absolutely can put them together and go, whoa, those are different. Those are really different. So I have to say, I really like the anchor greens better than the DMCs. So much so that I'm actually sitting here going like, I think anytime I run across anything that is using these greens, so 469, 470, 471, 472, I think I would convert them. I think I would convert them to anchor. Now that I've seen them, whew, I think I would change them. Anyway, thoughts. So that was an interesting one for me as well. And then, these ones are to a lesser extent. So this is another example where there are two colors of anchor and only one color of DMC. And again, I think it really has absolutely to do with the gradations, right? So yes, they're all sort of in the same family, but I think the difference is that anchor has the gradations, and I don't know if you can tell, again, the sun is hugely shining right now. Trust me, when I started this, it was really overcast and gray. Sun. Don't get me wrong, I like sun. But again, so this is a lighter, this is the lightest, and then a lighter one. So I can see again the reasons why you're coming through and saying, okay, yeah, all similar, but by the use of the anchor, it will give you more gradations in your design. It's fascinating, fascinating. I didn't really expect that there was going to be that much difference. I really didn't. So, and then again, when you start to haul them out, you go, whoa. So this is the last set. So this is the DMC. These are the anchors. And this is where it gets ridiculous. So both sort of similar in terms of gradations. And here's my ridiculous sentence, and just go with it. These are more sweet pea colors to me than these ones are. I know it doesn't make any sense at all. I get that. Again, it was just a really fascinating experiment. And again, sort of, you know, given that I started with the greens and went, whoa, those are really different. And then noticed that some of them, like 3 convert to 1. Then I went down this huge rabbit hole. So it was a really fascinating experience. And I do have to say, I feel like I need to pay attention. So when I do the link, I'm probably going to be printing out the conversion from the DMC to the anchor. And I'm going to see other ones. Because now I'm going like, maybe I should be paying more attention to some of those anchor colors, and that maybe that they have ranges, you know, again in those greens, just because they're just a little bit less yellow toned than the DMC ones. I might be going down a bit of an anchor rabbit hole where I might go, I might need to actually up my anchor stash, because I might actually like some of those colors better. I know, I didn't see it coming. Anyway, it was a fascinating experience. It was absolutely fascinating. Thrilled to death that I came across that post. Because I probably would have just merrily gone along and went, it's DMC, I've got a lot of DMC, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't have paid any attention and probably would have, well, I probably would have noticed when I saw that there was one DMC color that converted to 3 anchor, and I might have gotten curious at that point, but we would have been well into 2021 in the no add to stash year. So now I know the colors that I'm short and the things that I need extra skeins of and all that kind of stuff. So I have a list of anchor that I need to go and get. Not to mention I need to do my research on the anchor to DMC conversions and have a look at some of those, because there might be some other anchor ones that I need to bring into my stash. I know, didn't see it coming. So again, fascinating experience, fascinating. Far more than I was expecting at all to have happen. So now I'm going to add these glorious things to my big pile here and go, aren't these just the epitome of sweet pea colors? I know. Okay, if you don't like sweet peas and that's not your thing, you're just going to go, I'm a little bit crazy. But if you've been on my channel before, you know that this is not the first time I do weird things. Oh my goodness, I love that color palette. Love that color palette. So very thrilled. Like I say, it's almost all there. I've got to go find a few more things, and then I will have all of my anchor in stock in the house, ready to stitch my very large sweet pea bell pull. Won't that be lovely? Ugh. Oh my goodness, lovely. All right. So that ends my topic of Let's Talk Anchor Floss. I hope it was interesting. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed that or not. If you enjoyed not, hey, feel free to say that, and then I'll know, not to do a few of those other things. But for me, it was a fascinating experience. I didn't see it coming. But I'm warning you, now that I need to go spend some time with my anchor to DMC conversion, you might be seeing some stash positions that are anchor floss once I have that little experience. So fair warning. And with that, I hope everybody has a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and find some time to stitch. And I hope that your stitching brings you enjoyment and some relaxation and a little creativity time just for you. Have a good week, guys. Look forward to seeing you next week.